Folks, the Batman is finally released, so let's talk about it. I mean, the Batman has finally released. Let's talk about it. Okay, so as I was saying, for anyone who knows me or has even been just watching videos recently on this channel, it's clear that The Batman has been my most hyped film of all time. I've been talking about it for months. I've been obsessing about it even for months. Had a hat, bought a hat from Little Caesars. That's a whole different story. Shout out to my brother for that one. And the question is, did it live up to the hype? It had a very high bar for me personally. I know for a lot of people, but definitely for me. Again, this was my most hyped film of all time, beating out stuff like Endgame or, crazy stuff. Did it live up to it? Let's talk about it. Folks, let's start off with technical achievements, where the Batman absolutely excels. And I will cover, I couldn't even possibly tell you the scope of all the work that went into this film, but I could just highlight some things. You got makeup and hair, stuff like that. Just look at the prosthetics on the Penguin. Production design. This, if you go into this film and you see it and you just feel this Gotham more than you've ever felt a setting before, that's the production design is absolutely stellar within this film, doing their job every step of the way to great effect. You've got the score by Michael Giacchino, one of my favorite film scores of all time. Just absolutely brilliant. I love it, and it's as it scores the Batman, just it creates the atmosphere. It all contributes to just such an incredibly immersive experience. That's a word I've seen around, and it's absolutely accurate because again, you have the production design, building Gotham. You have the score, undersetting Gotham. You have the cinematography, framing Gotham, giving it color, giving it life, giving it vibrance. Beautiful. The cinematography, it's dark, it's gritty, but then you also have the bright hope at the end. You have a much brighter Gotham as the sun comes out. Everything was so meticulously designed, and the passion is just shines through so much, and especially in those technical categories, which are just so perfect. Let's cover the cast, shall we? Because everyone is on their absolute A game. First of all, Robert Pattinson is our new Batman, and it's a whole new Batman, right? This is a Batman unlike anything we have seen before. I think if you had to pick the most black sheep out of all the Batman, the one that has the least in common with the rest, it would be Pattinson Batman, because he's a loner, right? He barely even knows how to talk to Catwoman, where usually Batman, Bruce, as like a player. His Bruce Wayne is an emo. He doesn't even want to meet with people from the company. That's how much of a loner he is. He only goes outside to see the people of Gotham, to connect to Batman when he needs info, when he needs clues, when he thinks Bruce is a better persona to approach the situation with. And it's just such a new, unique take on the character that I'm so interested in diving into further in future installments. You have Zoe Kravitz bringing the best and most nuanced Catwoman. That's not even a debate. She is just absolutely incredible in this film. Truly, probably stole the show, I think, for me. She was just incredible, and I expected her to be. She just wowed me even more. Colin Farrell as Penguin, just so delightful. He really just nails this character. He's going to be the quintessential Penguin. I have a feeling a lot of the people in the Reeves verse are going to be the quintessential versions of their character, but Colin Farrell especially, just completely. He's a gangster and he's ambitious, and we'll obviously get more of him later on, and I am excited to dive. I'm so excited to dive into each of these characters. They each feel like living, breathing people that I want to see more of. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of them because they just got me hooked. They've got me so captivated. They've showed me a glimpse of these characters. They showed me one side, and I want to see all of it. I want to see all the sides of these characters and just sink my teeth into everything they have to offer, into everything this universe has to offer. My God. Jeffrey Wright plays Gordon, and he's in the film a lot more than I thought. He actually might be my MVP of this film just because of I really like Jeffrey Wright, an incredible actor, and I was not expecting him to be in the film as much as he was, and I thought his dynamic with Batman was great and fresh. Paul Dano, I will say this. I very much enjoyed his performance as the Riddler. I thought the Riddler was a great character. I will say about Paul Dano, I like him a lot as an actor. I have seen him in, I could name 4 movies off the top of my head, and he's kind of a little bit playing the same person in each one. He's been a little bit typecast as the unstable, kind of crazy guy here more than, probably the others. And he's very good at it. And I thought he brought a very interesting Riddler, but I would just like to see him do something different, I think, in the future. I think probably this is his defining performance in that sort of genre of just crazy characters. And to see him do something different would be nice, I think. But I do like his performance, don't get me wrong. And then I will just say, not negatives per se, but Andy Serkis as Alfred and John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Again, not everyone can stand out. And these two I was sort of expecting a little more from going in, I think. And I think we will get more time with Alfred just in the future. He's such a staple to the world of Batman and Bruce, obviously. And even here, he was just sort of a little underused, I felt like. I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting him to be in it more. But when they both were there, they were great. I just think definitely could have done some more with both. And then moving on from the characters, an incredible story. A story unlike anything we've ever seen before, because this is a detective film, first and foremost, in my opinion. It is a noir caper film revolved around solving riddles to get to the bottom of the mystery, learning more about himself as a character in the process, as we learn about this city with him, as we learn about this other cast of characters with him, and just diving into the lore of it all. And again, the riddles here are just from thread to thread. It's simple, it's fluid, it makes sense, it's logical, and it's all so damn captivating every step of the way. I've only seen it once so far. I will be seeing it again, probably multiple times, but the story is just absolutely brilliant. And that's really, I've said this before, but that is the sort of the main thing I'm drawn to when I watch a film. Obviously, I love every factor, but the script really is the base of that film. And you've got your film ain't going to be good without a good script. And this film has got an excellent script. I did say the film is a investigative caper, sort of first and foremost, a detective film. Even if you don't like Batman or superhero films, I'm sure you might find some enjoyment out of this film, because again, it is just a detective film. But I do want to mention that it doesn't neglect the Batman side of things by being so, because you still have these incredible moments. You get the scene with the Batmobile revving up, just awesome, so awesome in the theater, and that whole car chase, man. I was mouth agape, smiling the entire time. You got him doing truly heroic things like we've never seen him do before, really putting his life on the line for the people of Gotham and being the hero that it needs. And then you also just have stuff like him solving riddles with his pal Gordon or his partner Selina, and just the dynamics he has with each character. It's such a rich universe. It's so goddamn alive. It feels so alive. I love it. I can't wait to return to it. Film has a lot of different purposes, and it all depends on who you ask. Many people have a lot of different beliefs about the meaning of film. But one of its purposes, I think, is undeniably to transport you to a different world, to show you different perspectives, different stories, and the Batman does just that. It does it about as perfectly as a film can. You are transported to the city, to the story, to these people, and you sit with them for 3 hours, and you are just in awe at the brilliance of everything, at the immersion, at it all. It's so goddamn brilliant. It is. People have said it before, and they will say it again, because I do expect that this film will be remembered quite fondly. This film will be remembered as one of the greatest comic book films of all time. It's transcended its genre, that label of comic book film. This is cinema. It's cinema, to say the least. It was everything I hoped it would be, everything I wanted it to be. A bit shocking to me, I was sort of just preparing for failure at the end there because of how much I had hyped it up for myself. But it lived up to it. It really, really did. This is my Batman. I am so thrilled to just be able to follow along with it, to be able to see it in the future, because we're getting those spin-offs. We are getting a sequel. And it all started here with this masterpiece of a film. The Batman, 2022, directed by Matt Reeves, my most hyped film of all time, is also one of my favorite films of all time. The Batman is an S tier off the bat. I think it's unlikely to change. If it does, I will, of course, let you know in the comments down below, because I will be rewatching. But I have heard that rewatching only makes it go up, and I am sort of expecting that. So The Batman is an S tier, one of my favorite films of all time already. And it just gets better the more I think about it. And God, I want to return to it. I'd like to close out this video. Usually I would close out this video talking about, the spin-offs that the Batman will create, the future of Matt Reeves. I wrote a little thing about how excited I am to see Matt Reeves work in the future. And then I would close it off, but I want to close this one a little differently. I want to mention, and I hope truly more than anything that my passion for the film comes off in this little section here. I want to talk about my favorite 10 minutes or so of the Batman and of Batman in general as a character, and perhaps my favorite scene in comic book film history, perhaps one of my favorite scenes in all of film history, certainly up there. The film opens with Riddler in just brilliant filmmaking, right? You're set off the bat, you got the breathing as he spies on this, powerful figure. We see it in his clothes, we see it in his stature. We get obviously the context that he's a political candidate, and off the bat you've set the story up brilliantly. This film will be following the Riddler, right, on his quest to topple power structures, right? He's killing this politician, this major figure, and he writes No More Lies. We find that out later, obviously, but the context is set up. You have brilliant characterization. You're already scared of the Riddler off the bat, and some just brilliant filmmaking leaves you just shocked. I was just shocked off the bat. I was like, damn, this film is going to be great, because I just saw that first scene. But that's not my favorite scene. My favorite scene immediately follows that. I don't know about immediately. I forget a little bit. But it's where we are introduced to Bruce Wayne and Batman. And he's narrating this section about Batman's impact on Gotham. And overlaid with his narration are the various criminals of Gotham. You have a man robbing a store. You have a graffiti artist graffitiing, I believe, a bank. And you have a group of hooligans on the train harassing a man. And overlaid with the narration is Bruce. And I really want to see the film again, because I want to know exactly what he's saying. I want to dive deep into it. But it's him talking about the importance of Batman, about what Batman means. And you have just some brilliant filmmaking, because you have the robber who robs the store, who commits this crime, who goes outside, steps outside, and he looks up. You can't see his face. He has a mask on. And he looks up, and he sees the bat signal, and he's frozen. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to see his face. And then he turns, and he stares at the dark shadow in front of him. And the camera stays. The camera stays at the shadow. And we wait. We wait for the Batman to be there, just like he does. And the camera sort of, it zooms on him slowly. He's frozen. He's scared. He's terrified out of his mind, because the Batman is coming. But he doesn't come, because the Batman is the symbol. The Batman isn't a person necessarily. It is, obviously, but does it have to be? The Batman symbolizes fear, justice. That is what the Batman is meant to be. And Matt Reeves proves off the bat that he understands that. And then you have the graffiti artist. And then there's, again, the more brilliant filmmaking, because he sees the signal, he's scared, he sees the shadow between the door. The door is slightly cracked open, and he's waiting, and we're waiting with him. And then it zooms away, and they broke on the bank, right? Another societal metaphor connecting with the themes of the film. And then you have the train scene. The scene I was most hyped for, to be honest with you, because you have it in that original trailer. He's just beating down on that guy, or he tases that guy fucking brutally. I mean, just absolutely violently. And you have that scene at the train station And there's a guy, a boy, a younger member of this gang, who doesn't want to be a part of the actions they are participating in. He's clearly worried, and then he sees the bat signal and he's even more worried. And then they see the shadows again. They're harassing this man, and they see the shadow. And this time, footsteps through the darkness as slowly he emerges. The Batman is here. And we get an awesome fight scene. And the scene is just perfect. A perfect representation of Batman, one that I didn't even know. It's like one of those things that you just see. You don't know how to articulate. It's something you believe deep down inside you, but something you won't know you believe until you actually see it represented. And Matt Reeves brought that to life. And I hope so many others were touched by that scene in the way I was, and just how incredible it was filmed, the absolute art of filmmaking in that scene, as well as just the representation of Batman. That is the best representation of Batman ever. And it involves, even you remove the violence of that scene and you still have the best representation of Batman, because it completely nails the idea of his character, who he's supposed to be, what he stands for. It is cinema, and it is the Batman. Folks, I've been EDPC Reviews. I hope you enjoyed the film as much as I did. Let me know what you thought of it down below. And I will see you in the shadows.